Top military leaders in the United States and abroad are issuing warnings that Donald Trump is incapable of carrying out his duties as a commander-in-chief, that Donald Trump poses an imminent threat to the United States and to countries across the world. Top military leaders, admirals, generals, foreign military leaders are leaking to the press just how bad it has gotten and how they have to keep Donald Trump out of the Situation Room because his erratic behavior and temperament is just getting so bad that it will get many, many more people killed by him just even being in the room. There's Wall Street Journal articles like behind Trump's public bravado on the war, he grapples with his own fears, talks about how he's running around the White House screaming, yelling, cursing, panicking, behaving like a lunatic, talking about how he's afraid he's going to lose. And then the next minute he's acting all tough, just really odd behavior. You've got reporting out about how low the morale is of members of our Navy. You've got leaks coming out about how Iran still maintains most of its ballistic missile and Shahed drone and FPV drone capabilities. You've got leaks coming out about the conditions aboard the USS Gerald Ford, which is close to 300 days at sea, surpassing the record for the longest deployed aircraft carrier since the end of the Cold War. You have leaks coming out about how the U.S. Navy is now preparing to potentially board Iranian-linked sanctioned crude oil tankers and seize commercial ships within international waters, as we saw they purportedly did on Sunday. But the military generals, admirals, and other leaders were warning about this, leaking information to the press about how that would lead to escalation and likely cause the war to really heat up yet again. You have leaks coming out about safety concerns and stress and the lack of planning and just what an absolute disaster things are within the military right now. We know, of course, that Donald Trump has fired the top military leaders, top generals, fired the top general in the United States Army, General Randy George, the chief of staff of the Army. And when our top military leaders were forced to testify before the House of Representatives at the end of last week, and they were asked questions about these terminations, they were basically like, look, we don't have any answers. You'll have to ask Pete Hegseth. We're not sure why he did that. By the way, the fact that you had the Army Chief of Staff, Randy George, fired, that added to the fact that there were several other top officers, dozens over the past 12 to 18 months, or 16 months or so. But you had the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, General C.Q. Brown Jr. He recently spoke out against the Trump regime at Harvard. I showed you that interview that he gave at Harvard. You had Admiral Risa Franchetti, the chief of naval operations, who was the first woman in the role. You had General James Slife, the vice chief of staff of the Air Force. You had the top JAG lawyers who were fired. It's basically been a gutting of our top military leaders. And you all remember, too, when the Joint Staff social media account made a post basically extending their deepest gratitude to General Randy George, the chief of staff of the Army. And one of the reasons that he was purportedly fired is that he was promoting people based on merit. And it was alleged that Hegseth didn't want certain people who Hegseth said, oh, that must be because of diversity or DEI, or in my opinion, just very racist things. I'm just sharing with you my opinion is why Hegseth didn't want certain people promoted. And General Randy George was fired as a result. And Randy George and his wife, Patty, they were institutions within the institution of the United States military. And so their terminations his termination and basically how George and Patty were treated has just pissed off the military to no end. And also, I think the military sees how weak Donald Trump is behaving, in Iran. I think the military's like, make up your mind, man. Like, we don't think that we should do ground invasions into Karg Island. We were warning you not to invade Iran in the first place. You didn't take our advice. Remember, there were all of those warnings going back to February. I mean, remember this article right here, where the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, General Dan Kane, chairman of the Joint Chiefs, Raisin Kane, as they call him, within the Defense Department, he warned everybody within the defense, don't do this. This is going to be a disaster. The article was Pentagon flags risks of major operation against Iran. The warnings have been led by General Dan Raisin Kane, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff within the Defense Department, during meetings of the National Security Council. But, they're like, okay, you didn't take our advice. You did this invasion. So what are you going to do now? You're just going to keep on making social media posts? I mean, that's how you're going to do this war. You're going to put in all caps, we're going to destroy the civilization. That's war crimes, by the way. And don't get us involved in your war crimes. But what are you going to do? If you're gonna go to war, go to war. I mean, that's what the military does. You want us to do it? There's going to be high casualties. Lots of soldiers are going to die. Is that what you want? Okay, you don't want that. So what are you going to use? You're going to be mean? You think you're going to scare Iran with mean words? And so the military generals and admirals are just like leaking to the press. This guy's got no plan, and he needs to be kept as far away as possible from decision making. Just think about what a wild thing that is. That, I mean, it's the right outcome, but that's happening. And then all this stuff is being leaked to the press. As we wrote on the MeidasTouch Network account, a stunning new report in the Wall Street Journal reveals that military advisors intentionally excluded Donald Trump from the command room during the recent high-stakes operation to extract a downed U.S. airman in Iran because they feared his erratic behavior could jeopardize the mission. According to the Wall Street Journal, Trump was in such a volatile state after Iran shut down a U.S. jet that he spent hours screaming at aides in the West Wing, obsessing over the political fallout and invoking Jimmy Carter and the 1979 hostage crisis. Officials made the call to limit his access, only briefing him at meaningful moments instead of giving him real-time control. Meanwhile, the operation itself nearly fell apart, with aircraft struck in desert sand and U.S. forces scrambling to avoid Iranian detection. The airman was eventually rescued, but the chaos didn't end there. Just hours later, Trump woke up and fired off his profanity-laced threat online, warning Iran it would be left living in hell and he would destroy their civilization. I just want to be clear as well. That's how Wall Street Journal reports the mission itself with these two F-15E pilots. I've reported that I have a lot of questions about what really went down, because why don't we know who these F-15E pilots are? They've never given their names. They've never spoken to the press. We've never seen photos of them. Also, where they were rescued was very close to the Iranian nuclear facilities. And so it seemed to me that it was possible that there was a broader mission being used, whether the F-15E pilots were shot down or not, whether that was part of a CIA operation, or whether the fact that they were shot down allowed a pretext for a special operations mission to take place in order to try to extract the uranium, which failed. I raised a lot of issues that I still have lots of questions there, and I think we should all have questions there. Also in this damning Wall Street Journal piece, it talks about all of Trump's anxiety, how he has all of these threats and how he improvises things. He used insults as a tactic to bring Iranians to the negotiating table, screaming at aides, which it's not working at all. He wants to change subjects and talk about the ballroom and threatens war crimes, and it's miscalculation after miscalculation. And these generals, again, they're going to the press, and it's leaking like a fire hose right now at this point. Also, recent leaks, NPR reporting that cracks are forming inside the military, driven by low morale, ethical unease, and a growing number of service members choosing to retire early, declining to re-enlist, or walking away from their contracts regardless of the consequences. The GI Rights Hotline has seen call volume more than double since the Iran war began. The majority of callers are asking about conscientious objections. being forced to commit war crimes and they don't want to do it. Then there was the leaks of the food that our service members were being given aboard the USS Abraham Lincoln and the USS Tripoli. You can see right here, they're basically being given poor, low quality food. I mean, just look at what you're even seeing right here. It doesn't even look edible. You know, it's like 3 little pieces of things, I guess. And then the leak came out that families were not able to even send their loved ones, their service members, aboard the ship food, while our service members had very low morale and like weren't able to eat the food that they, you know, that they needed.
You know what's easier than fixing a problem? Not having the problem in the first place. Your liver is one of those organs that you don't think about until you have to. Supporting it daily is one of those small things that can make a huge difference in how you feel overall, and that's where Dose comes in. Dose for your liver is a clinically backed liver health supplement. This isn't just another capsule or powder. Dose is a liquid supplement. It's taken in a daily 2-ounce shot and it tastes like fresh squeezed orange juice. Here's why it matters. Your liver is your body's filter. It processes everything you consume and handles over 500 plus daily functions. Energy production, digestion, fat metabolism, vitamin storage. When your liver is overworked, you feel it. Dose helps cleanse the liver of unwanted stressors that may be slowing your liver down, and it promotes daily liver function so that your liver can do its job. 0 sugar, 0 junk, 0 calories. And when you take Dose daily, you're going to reduce sluggishness, get rid of those midday crashes, support your metabolism, and even aid your daily digestion. Plus, this is the real deal. There are 2 double-blind placebo-controlled studies showing Dose's positive impact on liver enzyme levels. Are you ready to give your liver the support it deserves? Head to dosedaily.co/Meidas or enter Meidas to get 35% off your first subscription. Your body does so much for you. Let's do something for it. That's dosedaily.co/Meidas, MEIDAS, for 35% off your first month subscription.
Let me bring you into Capitol Hill right now, where we had our top military current officers being asked questions by members of Congress, like, why was General George fired? And watch as they basically say, we don't know. I mean, it's a Hegseth thing. Here, play this clip.
I've read all of the news reports about why he was dismissed, but I would like to hear from you. Why was General George dismissed?
Sure, that's a question for Secretary Hegseth.
Okay.
I mean, I've been the vice for a couple months now.
Okay.
We honored the service of General George and his wife and the generals that were dismissed.
Well, thank you for that. I would like for Secretary Hegseth to answer the reason of why they were dismissed. And I think that the way General George and his wife Patty were treated will have a chilling effect on the way our services operate in the future. Prior to this, the Secretary of Defense removed 4 Army officers from the 07 list before their nomination left the DoD. Is that correct?
Sure. I think the list is still moving forward. I mean, our process, the process has been followed through. The Army provided the list to the Secretary's War's office, and it has gone forward. Whether those officers have been split from the list, higher, I'm not sure at this time. There's civilian oversight of the processor, as you know. There's multiple checks as it goes. And that, as it goes from the White House to the Senate, there's opportunities for multiple reasons for
Let me respectfully, because I'm
on
on a time clock here, but my understanding is that somewhere around 3% of colonels are selected to move forward to become general officers. Is that number at least approximately accurate?
Yes, sir. Approximately accurate.
So of all of the colonels out there, they're selected by their peers and by their board. It's narrowed down to about 3% of the colonels that actually move forward to become a general officer.
Yes, sir.
And the reporting is that Secretary Hegseth individually pulled 4 names from that list. I'm less worried about the race and the gender than if he did or he didn't do it. Did he pull 4 names from the list, as has been reported?
Sir, you'd have to ask Secretary Hegseth that.
Okay.
I've been
Well,
ice for a couple months.
if I could get anybody over there to respond, I would ask him, and I appreciate that. But I will say this: but I would like to know why if those four names were removed from the list. I would like to know why they were removed from the list. There may be a legitimate reason. Let me get to why this is important. The military expects its officers to provide truthful and honest advice versus being yes men to their leadership chain. Is that correct, gentlemen? Would all of you generals agree with me with that statement?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
If our top general officers are removed without justification from their positions for providing honest, objective advice, which is something that I always knew General George to give, then I fear that it's going to have a trickle-down effect that's going to be devastating to the other officers, and especially how their spouses feel about continuing to spend their lives in service. This is a team sport. The officer and the spouse are in this together. And I think that General George and his wife Patty, I think they were very unfairly treated. And I would appreciate if the Secretary of Defense would be forthcoming with whether or not four names were removed from the list. I'm less concerned about race and gender than I am why they were removed from the list, and if he has individually changed the way we're going to handle the promotion and the selection and promotion of our general officers in the military.
What about our strategic readiness here? Let's play this clip right here.
General Leneve, the Army is deploying high-demand systems like air defense systems across multiple theaters. Are these the same systems we would rely on in a large-scale conflict?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And what risks does that create for our ability to respond to a second contingency?
Ma'am, my role as the vice is to man, train, equip, and certify, and to build the force that COCOM commanders will utilize. We're supporting Admiral Cooper and team. If we have to surge to another location, then we'll have to look at how we balance that to be able to provide the resources necessary. I appreciate the question.
Now, former commander of the U.S. Army Europe, General Ben Hodges, is also calling out the fact that we have like Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff doing these negotiations who don't know what the hell they're doing. Like, why do we have them doing anything right now? Here, play this clip.
When the diplomats you have working negotiations are not professional diplomats. I mean, it was his son-in-law and his real estate friend. That's, this is where mistakes happen. And then also, if you surround yourself with sycophantic cabinet officials, particularly like Mr. Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, they're never going to push back on the president.
And then, as I mentioned, you have internationally, you have generals in other countries, like Canada's general, one of their top military leaders, calling out the United States. Here, let's play this clip for you.
We need to understand that, post Cold War, we were asked to do different types of missions. So militaries equip and structure themselves to respond to specific types of missions. So we were most of the time asked to do missions in an expeditionary fashion, in a very specific theater of operation, within limited objectives. So then you organize, structure, equip yourself to be to deliver this type of mission. But the world has changed, as you mentioned, and we live it on a daily basis. We're now looking at the Ukraine's lessons learned, Russian behavior, and other of their collaborators. So we have to get ready for large scale conflicts, more conventional. So we need a different military to do that, and different capabilities.
And then you have the former NATO Secretary General Stoltenberg and he's also previously leader in Norway. Here's what he has to say. Here, play this clip.
Investing significantly more in defense. Some European allies like Poland, the Baltic countries, in my own country, Norway, we're actually now spending a larger share of our economy, our GDP, on defense than the United States. So this has changed. And it's not only about resources, but also about geography. My country, Norway, is bordering Russia. Just on the other side of our land border, we see the highest concentration of nuclear weapons in the world. Missiles, submarines, bombers. And these weapons are not directed at Norway. They are directed at the United States. But Norway helps the US to monitor, to track the submarines, to share intelligence, and to give you early warning and to tell exactly what the Russians are doing. This is part of the US homeland defense provided by a NATO ally, Norway. And there are many other similar examples. So the US is safer with a strong NATO, and therefore I expect and believe that the US will continue to be committed to NATO.
So there you have it, folks. Let me know what you think about all of this. But, you know, I think the military is recognizing that the commander-in-chief is no commander-in-chief. I mean, obviously, I mean, it's like, is the sky blue? Although Donald Trump would tell you the sky is orange. It's orange, it's orange, it's orange. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 7 million. Thanks so much for watching, everybody.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.